So now we've talked about value, you are going to see how you can play with the gray tones. Now you can add big contrast going from white to number 10 value is black, black and white. That is a high contrast. And we use the high contrast very often in creating depth perception, because the highest contrast is in the front of the viewer. And when we go to the horizon, it becomes all more gray tones, different gray tones. Look at paintings when you have a chance to look at them, how a painter can, an artist can create this depth perception by having very soft contrast in the background. So today we're going to make a high contrast drawing. Try to understand this concept. It is really from super dark to super light. There might be a lot of gradations in between, but those two have to be there to create a high contrast drawing. And then we're also going to look at a low contrast, which is like very soft gray tones. Know this difference. It is beautiful to be able to create this with the simplicity of just a pencil and a piece of paper. I just love all the possibilities with this. When you have your sketchbook or your pieces of paper, there might be loose pieces of paper, you might want to use fixative to keep the graphite on the paper, especially if you want to sign it and date it, that you can see your progress over time. Then you want to put some fixative on it. If you don't have that, hairspray is actually equally as good. It might smell a little bit different, but that will fixate the graphite onto the paper. And then you can see your progress over time, which is very rewarding to do. So let's have a look at the demo. I have a red apple here on my wooden table. You see the reflection and you see the shadow. That same apple, now on a piece of white paper, looks completely different. I want you to be aware of that. And whatever you choose as your background or your underground, know that this has the result. It looks different. So choose a background that you can make a high contrast. Like the first apple is a red apple on a red underground. The contrast will be very low. Now we're going to do an apple on a white background with a strong piece of light, and it will look completely different. As you can see, I'm toning the left bottom part darker than the top right, and that is because the light source is coming from that corner. Be aware of that. You can now also, by toning the paper, create mood, contrast and mood. The lightest light on top of the apple is still the same. And now you're going to master more and more how the light affects the darkness and the light. I do have a slight outline on the shadow part on the table, or on the paper actually, but it's actually a soft edge. So be aware of that. Don't copy me 100% because the apple does have a stronger outline. That line should be actually a little bit softer. The more you draw these apples, which don't have any secrets anymore, it's the same apple, or maybe you change the apple, but it's not a square all of a sudden. You do have kind of the same principle. But by seeing it more and more, you are mastering it more and more, and making the toning the way is going to be to your liking. Sometimes the darkest part is close to the lightest part, but that's not always the case either. So don't assume anything, just learn to train your eyes, seeing what is really there. I speed up the video again so that you don't waste your time by watching the video, but seeing how I do it, and just with one simple pencil, really, and an eraser. And I hope you're getting better every day in doing all this. Have fun.